Hello all, welcome to session 42 of CSharp.net training series. In this session, I am going to explain and practically demonstrate about methods in C Sharp. So let's get started. In C Sharp, classes enclose variables and methods. Okay, let me show you practically. You see here inside this namespace is starting here, namespace name, right? Namespace is starting here, namespace is ending here. Inside the namespace, we have a class. You see public, using the keyword class, we created the class here, and this is the class name. This is the starting of the class, this is the ending of the class. Classes in C Sharp enclose what? Contain what? Variables and methods. We can create any number of variables and any number of methods. So no matter what variables and methods we are going to create, we are going to put static before them. Okay. Till some time, guys, till I explain what is static and all, I'm going to blindly put static keyword before the variables and methods when I create. So static int a is equal to 9. Okay. Don't worry if I am putting static here. For a while, we'll provide that. Okay. Just to make our learning easy and better, we have to provide static keyword. Then static string name is equal to, you can create any number of variables and methods inside a class. As I mentioned, class enclose variables and methods. Let me create a method. We'll create a main method. Public svm. Just type svm here. There is shortcut for creating the main method. You don't have to type public static void main string of aux and all those things. You don't have to type. Just press tap. Okay, it will auto generate for you. You see the main method got auto generated for you when you say public svm tap. Okay. Now this is the main method we have. One more method I'll create. Public. No matter whether I create the variables or methods, I'm just going to provide static keyword. You see, I'm going to provide static keyword before the variables and methods for a while. Public static void. Let's say add. Okay, add. So here I'll say console.writeLine a plus 5. Okay, fine. So as I mentioned here, classes enclose variables and methods. So what is the purpose of the variables? What is the purpose of the methods? The purpose of the variables is to store data. You see, the value or data that is 9 is stored into the variable A. Similarly, the value or data that is my name, Arun Moturi, got stored into the variable name. The purpose of the variables is to store data. Then what is the purpose of the methods? The purpose of the methods is to store logic. So here, where is the logic? Here is the logic. I have written some logic here. You see, I calculated the sum of this variable A along with 5. Okay. The logic will be written inside the programming logic will be written inside the methods, whereas data will be stored into the variables and logic will be created inside the methods. Okay. That is the purpose of the methods. And classes enclose these variables and methods where variables store data and methods store logic. Fine. What is the naming convention of the methods? Did I create the method properly? Yes, you see, the naming convention of the methods is upper camel case. The naming convention of the class is also upper camel case. The naming convention of the namespace is also upper camel case. Here, add two numbers. Like this also I can write. Okay. So here, what is the naming convention? Which format we are following? We are following upper camel case. That means if the particular name of the method has multiple words, each and every word's first letter will be in capital letter. Okay, you see, in this first word of this, there are three words, right? Add two number. Three words are there in this method. First word, first letter is in capital A. Second word, first letter is in capital, that is T, capital T. Third word's first letter is also in capital, that is capital N, right? So this what is the naming convention of the methods. It should be in upper camel case. You see, you can also see the main method. You see, it only has one word, so the first letter of the first word is in capital letter. That is what is the naming convention of the methods. And main method, I have to explain about the main method. What is main method? The execution will start from the main method, guys. Okay, so no matter what amount of code you write inside the class, when you run this class, the execution will start from where? From the main method only. This is a starting point from where the execution will start. If I run this code, what will be printed? What do you think will be printed? Will it print sum here? A plus 5 will be printed, that is a 9 plus 5, 14 will be printed in the output. No, guys, it will not be printed, because you see, when you run this code, the execution starting point is main method. Is there anything inside the main method? So nothing will be printed. Run this code, the execution will start from the main method here. Main method will be invoked, and you see nothing got printed in the output. Okay, here even console.readline statement is also not there. Let me write the console.readline so that at least command prompt will stay. Now run this code. You see the command prompt stays. You see anything got printed in the output? Nothing, right? Here it's here console.readline is expecting an input. That's why the command prompt stayed. Okay, that's the only thing. You see you don't have anything here, right? You don't have anything here. So the execution will start when you run this code. When you run this class, that is demo class, the execution will start. This is a starting point from where the program will run. So when it's starting point, console.readline, it is stopping the command prompt. That's it. Okay. What about this method and all this code, whether it gets executed or not? It's not getting executed. Simple. Okay. Simple words, guys. Execution in C sharp starts from which method? Starts from main method. Main method is a starting point from where the execution of the code will happen in C sharp. Okay. Programming code in C sharp will happen from the main method. That is one important thing that you have to understand. Methods calling other methods. Okay. Now we can make the methods call other methods. For example, here we have a main method. Okay. I want the main method. Here one line I want to print. Okay. See console.writeLine inside main method like this. Okay. Inside main method I'll write. If I run this code, what will happen? Inside main method will be printed. Okay. Execution will start from the main method and console.writeLine, that is inside main method, will be printed. Okay, inside main method will be printed. Fine. And after that console.readline and execution will stop here. Execution is starting here from the main method and ending here. But is there any connection between the main method and this add to numbers method? No, right? There is no connection. What we have to do to establish the connection between the main method and this add to numbers method? What we have to do? We have to call this method. Okay. Here you see method calling other methods. That means, you see, until and unless this particular main method calls this particular method, this method won't be executed. You see, this sum of a plus 5, that is 9 plus 5, won't be printed until you call this method. The main method has to call this method, then only this method will be invoked and the code that is written inside the method will be executed. If I run without calling the method, you see only inside main method, that's it. So after inside main method, let's say here at this line, okay, at this line, guys, I want to call this method, add to numbers method I want to call. How to call this method? How to call this method? Simply copy paste this method declaration itself, okay, like this, and put a semicolon. This is what is called the method calling statement. This is method calling statement. We are calling the method, guys, okay. Using this statement, we are calling this method. This method is being called with this method, okay. Run this code, method calling statement. You see, this time 14 got printed. This time 14 got printed because first inside main method, execution will start from the main method. After that, what happened? It printed inside main method. After that, the other method is being called from the main method. The control will go from here to here. Okay. The control will go from here to here. I'll tell you what happens here. Okay. So let me take a screenshot of this. Yes. And okay. Now let me explain. So how the flow will go. Okay. Execution will start from where? When I run this class, execution will start from the main method. The program execution will start from the main method and it will go inside the main method and it will print, first of all, it will print inside main method in the output. After that, there is a method calling statement. So since this particular statement will be run by the, okay, will be run during the execution, this method calling statement simply will call this method. Okay, the control will move on to this method because you are calling this method. From the method calling statement, the control will go to the called method. Okay, and execution will start of this method and a plus 5 will be printed, that is 14 will be printed. A is 9 and 5 is 5. 9 plus 5 is 14. 14 will be printed in the output. After that, you see this method is completed. After the method got completed, again the control will come back to the this statement only. The control will come to the method calling statement only. Okay, the control will come back to the method calling statement. After this method calling statement, what is there? Console.readline is there. Console.readline will be executed and the command prompt will stay. We can do one more thing. Here, after calling statement, I'll say console.writeLine, console.writeLine. After end of main method. Okay, end of main method I will say. Okay, so that we can see. So that means the execution will start from the main method. First it will print inside main method. Again it will call the other method and control will come to this method and 14 will be printed. After this method got executed completely, control will come back to this method calling statement and next line will be executed, that is end of the main method will be executed. So end of main method will be printed in the output and finally console.readline. Let's run this code this time. You see inside main method first, after that 14 got printed, after that end of the main method and console.readline. Okay, it is expecting the input from the user. Done guys. So this is how the control flows between when you are calling another method from the main method. This is how the control flows. You say, can a non-main method call other methods? Is it possible? Here main method was calling this method, right? Here main method was calling this add to numbers method. What if I have one more method? Public void public static. Okay, I'll put static keyword before every method. Public static void sample. I'll just name this as sample. So I'll say console.writeLine inside sample method. Inside sample method. Okay, like this I'll write. And what I will do here is, if I run this code, the sample method will not be invoked. Okay, you see only inside main method 14 and end of main method. That is this one, after that this line, and after that this line and completed. There's no way where sample method is being called. So what we can do is we can make this method call this method. Okay, so instead of using main method calling this, even main method also can call. If you really want main method to call, you see you can call the sample here. Okay, this is a method calling statement. So what happens first, this method will be called, then method after that the sample method will be called. Okay, run this code inside main method 14 inside sample method end of main method. Okay, end of main method. Now instead of making the main method call this sample method, I'll make the non-main method call the sample method. Okay, here I'll say sample here. Okay, I'll make the non-main method, it's not a main method, I'll make the non-main method called sample method. Run this code. You see inside main method 14 inside sample method end of main method. Non-main method is calling another non-main method. Okay, fine. Non-main methods calling other methods. And sample the same method can be called multiple times guys. Okay, so here I'll do one thing, I'll just remove this code. Okay, I want to call this sample method multiple times. Okay, I want to make this main method call the sample method multiple times. How to do that? You see sample, for the first time I'm calling. Okay, this is method calling statement, method calling statement. I can call the same method again. Second time also I can call. Okay, then third time I can call. Any number of times I can call the method. Any number of times I can call the method. Here how many times I'm calling the same method, sample method? 5 times I'm calling. That means inside sample method will be printed how many times? Every time it is called, this code will be executed. Inside sample method in the output will be printed 5 times. Run this code. First inside main method, after that you see 5 times inside sample. Every time the sample method is being called, this particular statement got printed, and finally end of the main method. Done. End of the main method. Sample method can be called multiple times. Now, next thing is methods having parameters. Okay, methods having parameters. So here till now, you see this particular method is not intaking any data. Okay, till now this particular method is not taking or intaking any data. So is there any possibility where a method can intake data? Yes, it is possible. Okay, I'll create one more method for that which can intake data. So public static void, I'll say welcome user. Okay, some random method welcome user. And here I want this particular method, unlike sample method, which is not taking any data, not intaking any data from the method calling statement. This time I'm going to create a method which is going to intake some data. So what data this particular method you want to intake? I want to intake the name of the user. String, I'll say name. So I'll say console.writeLine welcome plus welcome plus name. Like this I want to write the logic. Now here I'll call this sample method only one time. And also I would like to call welcome user. Okay, single method can call any number of methods. So here I'll say welcome user, I'll say. So here if I don't pass any data here from the method calling statement, from the method calling statement if I don't pass any data, okay? Because this particular method is not empty method, right? The sample method is an empty method. It's not expecting any data from the method calling statement. But welcome user method is expecting the name from the method calling statement. So that's the reason you are getting an error here. Compiler error is coming because you are not passing any data to this method. Okay, this particular method is expecting the name of the user. So I'll say welcome Arun Muturi. Okay, I'll remove this variable from here. These variables are not required anymore. I'll just remove them. Okay, just to avoid the confusions, I'll remove them. Okay, I'm just passing the name of the user here. Welcome Arun Muturi. So when I'm calling this method, what happens? This method will be called, and this particular text will be the string text will be passed to this parameter. Here, name is called as a parameter. Name parameter. Okay, how many parameters are there? Only one parameter is there. That is a name parameter. Okay, you can call that as a parameter. What about this data that you are passing? From the method calling statement, you are passing some data, right? That data is called as an argument. That's called as a argument. So the data that is being passed to the method from the method calling statement is called as an argument, and the variable that is receiving this data from the method calling statement, okay, the variable which is receiving in the method declaration, which is receiving the data from the method calling statement is called as a parameter. Okay, it's an argument, it is a parameter. Now we have, so method declaration can contain parameters. Okay, so method calling statement will contain arguments. You see, as you can see here, the method calling statement contain arguments, and method contains parameter. Okay, the method declaration will contain the parameter, whereas the method calling statement will contain the argument or arguments. Fine. So zero parameters. Here you see sample method has zero parameters, whereas welcome user has how many parameters? Single parameter. We can also have methods having multiple parameters. How? Let me write down one more method. Public static void add two numbers. Okay, like this I'll write. So I'll say int a comma int b. Two parameters I am creating here. Okay, in the method declaration I am providing two parameters. A and b are the parameters. Here I'll say int sum is equal to a plus b, a plus b, and here console dot write line sum of two values, two numbers is less sum. Sum of two numbers is plus sum. Okay, like this if I create a method which has two parameters and I'm calculating something out of these two parameters also. Here a and b are parameters, guys. Okay, here we have multiple parameters. We can have any number of parameters. Okay, you can add three numbers and pass int a comma int b comma int c also. That is also fine. Okay, any number of more than one parameters also you can have. Okay, so in this case, if I have to call this method, that is add two numbers method, add two numbers methods, if I have to call, then I have to pass two values, that is 5 comma 4. Let me pass. Okay, so if I pass two values only, two arguments, these values that I am passing from the method calling statement are known as arguments. Okay, 5 will go and fall into this a, whereas 4 will go and fall into this b. So 5 plus 4, 9. Okay, sum will be 9 and sum of two numbers is 9 will be printed. Run this code inside main method, inside sample method, welcome Arun Moturi. Sum of two numbers is 9, end of main method. Okay, like this the execution will happen. Fine. So this is all about the methods having the parameters. Till now, methods were intaking the data in the form of single or multiple parameters. Methods were intaking the data. Is there any possibility where methods can return the data? Reverse. Here methods are intaking the data from the method calling statement. From this method calling statement, the data is being intaken to the methods. Is there any possibility where the methods can return the data to the method calling statements? The reverse is possible. Yes, that is also possible, guys. Okay, that is also possible. For that, guys, I'll remove this method calling statements for a while. I'll make it simple. So here I'll create a method which is going to return some data. Okay, so here I'm going to create a method which is going to return some data. So I'll say public static, it's going to intake data and return data also. Public static void add three numbers. Okay, I'll take a simple example. Add three numbers. I'll say int a comma int b comma int c, like this. Three things I'll take. Add three numbers. Now here I'll say int sum is equal to a plus b plus c. Okay. So instead of printing the sum here, so I can print the sum here, right? I can say sum of three numbers is plus sum. Like this, I can write the logic and I can call this method. So add three numbers, add three numbers. Okay, here I have to pass three numbers, 5, 4, 3. Like this, three numbers I have to pass. Then this method will be called. It is only intaking the data, right? This particular method is only intaking the data, but it is not returning any data. It directly printing in the same method itself. Instead of printing in the same method, what I can do is, this will work, but instead of printing in the same method, what I will do is I'll add a return keyword. Remember the return keyword? So I explained, I didn't explain about the return keyword so far, but I mentioned it in the previous session in the control flow statements. Under the transfer statements, we have a keyword known as return keyword, right? I told you that return keyword will be explained. Return transfer statement will be explained when when I will be explaining methods. So the time has come for me to explain the return transfer statement for you. Okay. Fine. Return is one of the transfer statement in C#, which is part of the methods that I'm currently explaining. So here, if this particular method has to return some data back to the method calling statement, then I have to use this return keyword, return transfer statement I have to use. And what I want to return, I want to return the sum. To the method calling statement, I want to return the sum. But I'm getting an error because when you're returning something, here you cannot have void. Void means, for example, guys, this particular method, sample method, is not returning anything. So void, it should be void. Return. This void is a return type. Here void is a return type. Void is a return type when method don't have to return. When method don't have to return anything. When method don't have to return anything, then we use void. Void means nothing. Nothing is being returned by method is symbolized with the help of void keyword. Void is a return type when method doesn't have to return anything. But in this case, we are returning something. Can we put void here? If a particular method is returning some data, still can we provide void here? No guys, okay? Void is not recommended here. So what should be returned then? The data type of this value that you are returning. Sum is of which data type? Int. So in place of void, you have to provide int. Then the error is gone. Okay? Which type of data you are returning? Which data type of data that you are returning? You have to provide in place of void. Here int is the return type. Here in this case, int is the return type. Okay, return type of the method is int. This method is returning the int value. Okay, to whom this value is being returned? Okay, add three numbers is being called and three values is being passed. That is 5, 4, 3. 5 will go into A, 4 will go into B, and 3 will go into C, and A plus B plus C, that is 5 plus 4 plus 3. The sum will be calculated, that is 9 plus 3, 12 will be calculated, and 12 will be not printed here. 12 is returned to the calling statement. Okay, so what the method calling statement has to do, when you hover the mouse on this guys, you see the return type will be displayed here. What is the return type? This particular method return type is int. The return type is being displayed here. That means here I can say int s is equal to, like this I can write. Okay, whatever the value that is returned to this particular method calling statement, that we can store into the variable like this. And here in the next line, console.writeline s. Okay, s I can say. So it will print the sum guys, that is 12 will be printed. Run this code. You see 12 got printed. 12 got captured into this variable s and got printed here. Okay, that is what is the return type guys. Okay, methods can also return something based on the type of the data that is being returned to the method calling statement. Okay, the return type should be mentioned. So sometimes guys, we use the return keyword for different purpose. Okay, I'll tell you what is the purpose here. I'll remove these two lines. I'll not call this method now. So I will create one more method, public static void sample2. Okay, sample2 method I'll create. Here inside the sample2 method, I'll write some print statement, say line 1 in sample2. Okay, here console.writeline line 2 in sample2. Line 2 in sample2. Okay, intentionally I'm writing. I'm calling this method also sample2. But what I will do here is I want to end this particular method. It's what is the problem? I have to put a semicolon here. The error will be gone. Yeah. So I'm calling this method. These two lines will be printed. Okay. If I run this code normally, sample2 method will be called, and you see line 1 in sample2 and line 2 in sample2 got printed. That's fine. But what if I provide return statement in between? Put a semicolon here. Okay. So here what happens here is, since I am providing return statement way before this console.writeline statement is there, the method will end here only. This line only it will end. So line 2 in sample2 will not be printed. You just see here, line 1 in sample 2 and the method got ended. We can also use the return statement for this purpose also if you want to end the method at some point of time based on some situations or no. Okay, so if I say int I is equal to 2, if I is greater than 5, then say return. Okay, then say return. Like this also you can write. Okay, so if I is greater than 5, then return. In this case, I is 2. Is I greater than 5? 2 is not greater than 5. So return statement will not be executed. These two statements will be printed. Line 1 in sample 2 method and line 2 in sample 2 method, both will be printed. You see, this time line 1 in sample 2 and line 2 in sample 2 will be printed. What if I give the value like some 6? 6 is greater than 5 is true, return keyword, and the method will stop here itself. Okay, this line 2 in sample 2 will not be printed this time. Like this also you can use the return statement, guys. Return statement not only can be used for returning the data back to the method calling statement, but also to end the method also we can use. You see only line 1 in sample 2, because the condition has been satisfied and return statement got executed, it acts like a break statement for the methods. Okay, break statement, if you remember, right, break transfer statement was used for coming out of the loops and switch case. Here return statement can be used for coming out of the methods. Wherever based on some situations, if you want to come out of the methods, just use blank return statement. Don't return anything. Just say return semicolon. It will exit you from the method whenever you want. Okay. So guys, this is all about the methods, guys. I explained everything about methods, like what is the purpose of the methods, what is the naming convention of the methods. I explained about the main method, okay, from where the execution starts. How can one method can call other methods? It can be a main method calling other method or non-main method calling other methods. Okay, and how can the same method can be called multiple times, okay, from the method, and how can the methods intake the data in the form of parameters, and how to pass the data in the form of arguments from the method calling statements. Different number of parameterized methods I explained. Then I explained about how the methods can return data and how we can come out of the methods based on some situations and conditions by using the return keyword. Okay, everything I covered in this session regarding the methods. So that's all about methods. In the next session, I'm going to cover another C#.NET topic for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye.